Oh, good morning. Today's video is about how to improve relationships with people that you are having some level of issue with. I like to refer to this as the art of appreciation. And for me, and I kind of wish that I'd come up with this one, but let's turn Jerry Hicks wrote a book. And the book was called Ask and It Is Given. I'll get into that a little bit more in a few minutes. But many, many years ago, I was involved in a divorce, and it was messy, and it involved my kids and custody, and it was horrible. And I had gone almost a year without seeing my two girls, which were the love of my life. And I hadn't seen their mom or talked to their mom. Basically, it was just sheriffs and legal papers, and it was, I had pretty much been eviscerated in the court systems. So, when I got this latest letter saying that we were going to go back to court for 2 whole days in December, starting December the 1st, my dad's birthday, I was a bit beside myself. I was riding down the road, and I went, help! A plea. And interestingly enough, I got some information. I was driving at the time, and I said, please help me. And I got an intuition. It says, well, you need to buy a book. I said, fine, I'll buy a book. And it said, well, you can keep on driving and eventually find a book, or you can turn around because the book is back at the Annapolis Mall. So I made a U-turn, I went back, and it said, well, you can walk the mall, or you can just go to Borders because that's where your book is. So I went in, and I knew a lot of people there, and I'm walking along, and I go all the way to the front of the store. People are like, hey, Jack, how are you? All good. Went to the front of the store, and I had the intuition to drag a finger. So I put the finger on the books. I started at the front, and I'm just walking along, dragging a finger all across. And I literally got almost to the back of the store when all of a sudden I got to a point, and it was like right there. I stopped. I tried to go forward, nope. Tried to go backward, nope. Right here. And I pulled the book out. And I swear to God, the name of the book, true story, was Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And the way that I find solutions on many of these things, it's a technique. And I just went flipping through the book. And I got to a page and I stopped, and then I opened it up. And it was about improving your relations. Well, we certainly needed to improve the relations. And the instructions were things that I could do. And I think the book was $7. It's about all I had. Paid for the book. And I sat down and I read that section. Then all of a sudden, voila, I could do what it said. And it suggested that I would take a pen and paper and write down all of the things that I truly admired about the girl's mom. Up until this point, everybody had been trying to push me to be as derogatory as possible and to see only the negative. But these suggestions told me to be focused only on the things that I truly admired. In the beginning, I'm like, nothing. And then all of a sudden, I got 1, and then 2, and then 3, and then 4. And within a relatively short period of time, less than an hour, I had a list of about, I think it was at least 12 things that I did truly admire. And the suggestion and the instructions for this was to go every morning and read the list and visualize the person having, doing, and being all the things that I admired. So I did. And then at night, just before you close your eyes and go to bed, you do the same thing. You visualize and vividly imagine the person having, doing, and being all of the things that you admired. So I did. And I kept doing it. Every morning, every night. And I did that for about 2 weeks. I started doing it September 30th of that year, many years ago. So now it's October 15th. Same time of year as now. And anyway, I got a text for the girl's mom, and I'm thinking, that was a butt dial. And then the phone rings. Because the text says something like, we gotta talk. And I'm like, okay. And then the phone rings, and the girl's mom said, you know, Jack, I don't think that I need to be at your visitations anymore. And I went, oh, you mean I can come and get the girls right now and just take them somewhere? It was like 5 o'clock. And she said, yeah. And I jumped in the car, and man, I'm roaring down the road. And I went up to Catonsville, Maryland. It was a ways away from Annapolis. I got to see my girls by myself, piled them in the car, and went to about the only place I could afford at the time, which was Chuck E. Cheese. And we went to Chuck E. Cheese, and we had all kinds of fun. We played games and had pizza, and oh my God, it was a blast. And in the next 2 weeks, I saw my girls more in those 2 weeks than I had seen them for a long time, and we had such fun. And at the end of October, I got another phone call that said, you know, Jack, I don't think we need to be in court anymore. And I, what? He said, yeah, I think we should be able to handle this on our own without the court systems. And I went, I agree. And we actually did end up going to court December the 1st of that year. And we went in, and the judge was glaring at us. And they wheeled in our case file. It's too big to carry. And I stood up and I said, Your Honor, and he goes, what? I said, for the benefit of the girls and for ourselves, we're going to handle this without having to be in court anymore. And he's got this surprised look on his face, and he smiled, and he looked at the other side and says, is that true? And the other side's wagging their heads, yeah. And then the judge said, oh my God, it's fantastic. They said, wait a minute, we're now in December. Merry Christmas. And then he looked it over, and I think the attorney for the other side was Jewish, and he says, oh, and Happy Hanukkah. And he looked over and he saw the court reporter was African American and says, oh, and Happy Kwanzaa. And then he went off for the next 10 minutes talking about how he was so happy that we were doing this, and more parents should, and it was the part of his job he hated doing the most. And he went on for literally like 10 minutes on this. That's a long time to do a monologue, a 10-minute monologue. And at the end of it, he said, God bless you guys, take off. And then from then on, the girls' mom and I set up our schedule, got to see the girls, and we handled it without being in court anymore. And that went on for literally years. Over the years, I've taught this technique to people that were having issues, many times marital issues, and every single time somebody has followed the rules of this technique, they've had a fantastic outcome. Sometimes it only took days. But the rules are very simple, and you can do this. Take out pen and paper. Right at the top, the things that I admire about whoever it is you're having a challenge with, and you write that list. And I've sometimes had to help people with that list. Get at least 10 items down, sometimes more. Morning and evening, visualize the person that you're having the conflict with, having, doing, and being all the things on that list. And yes, it has certainly changed the relationship that those folks had with the person they were having a conflict with. But I will tell you, one of the other immediate benefits is you start feeling better because you're no longer focused on the negative, you're focused on the positives. And interestingly enough, if you see the divinity in somebody else, amazingly, and the good things, you kind of start seeing it in everybody. And you certainly start seeing it in yourself. And you stop being angry. Oh, one of the other rules. You don't tell anybody what you're doing. It's a secret. You just do it. And in the doing, a change comes over you because you're focusing on this other person. You start feeling better. You're not angry. And immediately, things start to shift. For me, everything shifted. I felt better. I wasn't drinking nearly as much, if at all. And because alcohol can be used as a tool, and I was certainly using it at that time. And it got to the point where every day I would wake up and I would feel good, and I would do my list and I would feel better. And I'd go throughout the day, and as I was about to close my eyes at night, I would do the list again. And again, I felt better and better. So the first benefit was that I felt better. And then that energy went through the air over to the other person. And they started, I don't even know what the science of this is. I think Einstein called it spooky logic at a distance, because you're affecting something in, quote unquote, the field. However, if you're having conflicts with somebody, take out your pen and paper, write their name, make the list, visualize them doing, having, and being all those beautiful things morning and evening. And I can assure you that from my experience, it's one amazing effective tool. Now in that book, I'm sure there was a lot of effective tools. I only needed one, and that's the one that I use. And I hope that if you're having conflicts, and we all have conflicts, with anybody, you can use this tool to be able to feel better, repair that relationship, see the good, and I'd love you to be able to share a comment about your experience after you do it. And that's my suggestion. The art of appreciation. Use the tool, mend your relationships, and feel better about yourself, and that's good for everybody involved. Have a blessed night. Good night.